Hello and welcome to today's episode of Created to Write. I'm joined with Simon Camilleri today, and we're going to see where this conversation goes because I have no questions in mind this time.
Shocking.
No. So tell me about you, Simon.
Well, I live in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm married to the wonderful Catherine, um, who's also creative and very intelligent and scientific. Sort of I always say she loves turning chaos into order. She's very good at that. And I'm very good at creating chaos. So we make a
You
very good
match.
match.
What a perfect match.
That's right. And we have two lovely kids, Dorothy, who's 10, and little Peter, who's 3. And they're both wonderful, 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 creative and intelligent and just going through life. And yeah, it's wonderful to be their dad.
Very enjoyable those years.
Yes, yes. It's wonderful. The 3-year-old's just getting a grasp of language and wanting to do everything himself.
Mhm.
And the 10-year-old's on the verge of, she's in the tween years and it's,
Yeah, it's coming.
dramas and all that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, it's a real privilege to navigate life with them
It
and
is.
help them through that. And that very much inspires the writing that I do as well, being a
Yes.
father.
So tell me, what do you write?
I write lots of things, but I write what I have published is children's books. So I've written 3 children's books, and I'm working on a fourth. I also write articles and poetry and plays over the years, and a variety of things. I love words, and the things that words can convey and communicate and how the fun of words and the sound of words and things like that. So I've loved Shakespeare for many years and things like that. So that all that's influenced my all these things that I write. I also love good Bible reading, which is an odd maybe thing to love. I love the Bible, but I particularly love reading it well and training people in how to read the Bible well. So that's one of my passions as well. So,
Mm.
but in terms of books, I've written 3 children's books. The first one was 8 years ago, and it was called When Santa Learned the Gospel. And then in the last couple of years, I've written a couple of ones as part of a sort of a series which I call the Kids Guidebook series.
Mhm.
And the first one was Wow God, Thank You, Sorry, Please, a kid's guide to prayer. And the one that recently came out is Read, Think, Pray, Do, a kid's guide to reading the Bible. And I love the idea of writing kids' guide sort of books that help parents disciple their kids and introduce the faith to their kids and teach the kids the gospel and how to live and think as a Christian in the world, and write them in sort of a way that's really engaging and creative, as well as theological and biblically faithful and balancing those things together.
Mm. Yeah, and are they published through traditional publisher or have you self-published them?
The first book I self-published, I went through that whole crazy adventure, even did a Kickstarter and launched that first book, When Santa Learned the Gospel. And that went really well. I had a lot of support from other people who had done Kickstarters really well, and put all the money into that myself and the time and the effort, and it just absorbed every crack of space in my life over that year. Um, and that book got noticed after it had sort of come out, and it was doing okay. It got noticed by a publisher in the UK called 10 of Those, and they contacted me and asked me if they could take it on. And not long after that, they also launched from the UK into the US and sort of beyond. And so I sort of got in with them at the right time.
Mhm.
And that book's done better than I could have imagined, which has been just wonderful to see. It's still after 8 years, still going strong. It's very seasonal, so it
Yeah.
goes strong during Christmas and then disappears. Um, uh, but getting in with a publisher um, got my foot in the door, and so I could then propose to them other book ideas, and I actually proposed to them the next two books as as one package. I said I've got these ideas for two books that'll work together: one on prayer, one on Bible reading. I'd written the one on prayer, and I had ideas about how to present it, and I'd only just started the one on Bible reading, but they signed up for both books, partly also so we could get an illustrator that would do both books as well. So that it's been wonderful to work with Dominic On, who's a young illustrator in Melbourne, and he's done both the last two books, and hopefully I'll do more with him. He's wonderful.
Mm. And what does your writing process look like?
A lot of it is I run on passion. That's sort of how I run on everything. If I'm enthusiastic about something, I know I can see it to the end. That's sort of the fuel in my tank. And so it means I have to be enthusiastic about something. I'm probably not very disciplined in that way. I wish I was more. Um, but when I'm passionate about something and I get on that train of an idea, then I run with it. And so my usual first process is thinking about getting something that just won't niggles away at me and just goes, there's something in that, and starting to write ideas and write it down. I'm sort of in the thick of it at the moment with my next, well, I'll say my next book, but because I'm super optimistic, right? No one said yes to publishing it. But the next one I'm working on is I'm trying to write a children's book on what does it mean to be made in the image of God,
Mm.
and what does it mean for them, their purpose, their life, and how they treat other people. That we're all made in God's image. It's a really key idea that used to be just generally accepted in society, but as sort of Christianity has been peeled back off society, that's really something we need to pass on to our kids as Christians, at least. And so I'm really keen to write on that. I've been thinking about that topic for many years and writing little things here and there about it. And so now I'm trying to write the crazy audacity to write on this epic topic, this thing that people have written theses on, um, in a rhyming format that's charming and entertaining, which I like to write that style, and something that's easy to read and engaging, that covers these big concepts in a way that's accessible to kids, that covers everything as biblically as I can understand it, and also takes you through that journey of ideas. And so I'm in the midst of doing that, and I will labor over a line for weeks
Mm.
sometimes. I
It's
really,
another picture book.
yeah, I
Mm.
definitely another. The way I write them is I usually write the text, and then so with when Santa learned the gospel, I wrote it as a poem and I put it on
Mm.
my little blog, and some people started reading it at their church services at Christmas, and I went, oh, this is nice, and then as it grew, I went, maybe this could turn into a children's book. So I didn't think of it as in a visual medium first. I thought of it as the words and the ideas and how it sounds to read, sort of like performance poetry, sort
Mhm.
of. I think about that. And I think I've done that with all my books. So that may be my style or my process. I think of the words and the ideas first. And then I think of the illustrations as a new layer that you get to put over the top of the words
Mm.
as a way of, and then you get to play with that. That's a whole new thing because the words can be expressing one thing, and then a picture can show something that, and it doesn't have to be that the picture is showing what the words are saying. It could be that the words are talking about something and then the picture is displaying something. So if you just look at the pictures, you'd understand one story. And if you just read the words, you'd understand something. And then put together, there's lots of opportunities for overlap and symbolism, and
Mm.
things like that. So, for example, with Wow God, Thank You, Sorry Please, A Kid's Guide to Prayer, it starts with What is prayer? It may sound odd, but prayer is just talking to God. You can do it anywhere, tucked in bed or on a chair, at the park or in the car. It doesn't matter where you are. And even if no one else heard, God would hear your every word. Right. So it's just teaching about prayer,
Hmm.
but the imagery is a father going into his young daughter's bedroom, going, "Wake up!" Not speak. Just the illustrations is him going, sort of getting her to wake up, and she's waking up, and then he's packing her lunch, and then they go on a little adventure out, and they go walking in through nature. The idea was that I don't want to have a classroom where I'm teaching kids about prayer. How do we teach our kids about prayer? Well, we go out into the world, and that inspires our prayers when we see things, and then each of the four types of prayer, wow, God, thank you, sorry, please, each one of those, we found a way of representing that visually in different sort of, so they became, we sort of did this thing where each page was a slightly different season. So wow, God was summer, thank you was autumn, sorry was winter, and then please prayers are spring.
Mm.
And they're walking through this local bush area, and they sort of represent each one of those seasons. And then things like in the sorry, which the sorry one, which is probably the most symbolic, is the words are saying, this is how we a sorry prayer might be, I'm sorry, God, for when I'm not good, when I don't love you as I should. Through Jesus' death, forgive my sin and help me love and live like him. Right, that's that page. But the picture is a storm, and there's a raging sort of creek, and the father's holding the child over, stepping over the creek, and it's sort of a bit gloomy and dark, and there's some brambles off to the side and everything, and he's stepping, helping her step over that creek that she couldn't step by herself, and that is symbolic of forgiveness, of that we can't cross over by ourselves. We cling to the Father in saying sorry and in our repentance, and He carries us over to forgiveness, and so you have these little
Mm.
opportunities through the
That's
illustrations,
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
to bring a whole new depth to the words,
Mm.
and to some degree that's a whole new creative process. So I
Hmm.
just focus on the words, and I always start by going, I wonder how I'm gonna think about how to illustrate this to be illustrated.
Yeah.
But I actually leave that till the end. I see where it's gone. I might have little murmurings of ideas,
Hmm.
but I wait till I finish the text, and then I rethink about it and go, okay, what could we do visually
Yeah.
to make this really interesting and deep, so that
Mm.
it's able to be read again and again, and you see different things over the years.
Yeah. Wow. And so what's your greatest achievement so far?
My greatest achievement. That's a bold question.
Well, let's
Um,
look at your books.
my
Because you're
greatest
married, you've got
achievement
children.
that may well my I don't know how to quantify greatest, but one of my most the achievements that I find most amusing and wonderful is when with Santa Learn the Gospel, that started as me sort of critiquing the Santa philosophy that if you're good, you get presents, and if you're bad, you get coal. And then how the gospel actually flips that on its head, that it's actually the people on the naughty list who are shown grace, and it's the people who think they're on the good list who need to be humbled. And Santa comes to realize he's on the naughty list, and he comes to learn the gospel and go on this spiritual journey himself. And so it's this fun little story of him hearing about the gospel and seeing how it clashes with the philosophy he always thought. But so it started with me writing that as a way of critiquing what I saw the Santa message was, but in a way that sort of didn't make Santa out to be the baddie. He was the protagonist. The most fun thing is that has been picked up by Santas, especially in America. So in America, they take being Santa, a professional Santa, very seriously. They have conferences. You get, there's whole philosophies about how you had to have your suit and laugh and grow your beard and all these sort of, it's very serious. Wonderful community over there. Um, and there's a subset of that community who are Christian, who actually still love to do the shopping malls and the invited to events, but their focus is how do I make sure that Jesus is the reason for the season. And they have discovered that subset of Santas have discovered my book and they buy it in the box loads and they sit. And so when kids sit on their knee and one of the things they can give them is a little book about how they learnt the gospel. Um, and so a book that was initially intended as a critique of Santa has been embraced by Santa, at
That is
least
so
some,
cool.
um, which is which is wonderful, which is really,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's really fun. So I love hearing stories of how the books get used in different ways, either to help parents share the gospel with their kids or with their neighbor, or help their kids think through things, or
Mm.
all those little stories are really what make it satisfying.
Yeah, satisfying, really fulfilling. Hey,
Yeah,
when you
I
hear
come from a theatre background, so you get the feedback from your audience straight away in theatre. Like you stand on
Mm.
the stage, you do your performance, you get the clap at the end, or the laugh, or the reaction through the show. Writing's been really weird for me because you write, then you
Mm.
publish, and you send it off to you, and then you don't get your book back till for months, and then it goes into shelves somewhere, you know, and then
Mhm.
you hope people read it and enjoy it. And so I love hearing any sort of review or anyone doing a reading of one of my books or hearing some feedback. I'm sure there's a little bit of ego in that I just love hearing what people think, but I think it's mostly because I'm doing it
Mm.
for people to find the books useful and
Yeah.
engaging. So it's always very rewarding to hear when they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you take part in any writing groups around you? What's it like down there in Melbourne?
I don't know of too many. I was part of one that was running through my church. And but they're probably there. I wish I knew about them. If there are any in Melbourne, hit me up. Tell me about them because what I've wanted to do is either organize or be part of a writer's retreat
Mm.
where because I'm a frustrated writer. I haven't got all the heaps of time. I want more spare time in my life. So the idea of just going away to somewhere that's really nice. I once did that years ago and found it so helpful. Just this time away with a bunch of people who I didn't really know, all creative people, all working on their own things, some painting, some writing, and they all just needed time carved out to work on the thing. And I was like, oh, I'd do that every year. Like, even if it was just like for a long weekend or something, and just to have that space. One of the big things is especially in this world where there's so much content which you can just flip through and fill your mind with
Yeah.
content constantly, that I think the creative process needs the space, needs
Mhm.
the boredom, needs the
Yeah, it does.
reflection and things like that. So I'm trying to learn to do that more,
Mm.
to help my creative process. But
Yeah. Yeah, it
mm,
needs the brain just needs to have nothing going on to be able
mm,
to drift and find what's next to do.
mm,
Yeah.
yep.
More quiet time. We all could do with a little bit more of that, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
So, people who are watching, thank you so much for sticking with us till now. And please hit that like and subscribe button. Share this with a friend. There might be somebody out there that this will inspire. And before we go, do you have any words to give people who want to write today?
I think there's so many different types of writing that you can do. They often just say just write, and writers write, so just keep writing and write whatever you can. But for me, one of the things I love, and so I want to encourage more people to love the sound of words. Love words. The words are so delicious. And so I think as people can grow in their love of language and words, that they can bring that into whatever they write, whether it's poetry or not. It can have there's something beautiful about language and its ability to capture ideas and images and move people, both for children or adults. So yeah, it's one.
Yeah, perfect. And remember to grab Simon's books for the little people in your world and for yourself, because there's nothing like reading a picture book, really. It's always enjoyable. And I will drop Simon's information in the show notes below. Please search him out and follow him as well. Thank you for joining me today, Simon. It's been a lovely chatting with you.
Thank you, Michelle. Good to see you.